Okay, so today is January 25th, and if we take a look at where we are, the NASDAQ has been like off the charts positive and a roller coaster. It's come down a little bit today, but it has been just like a rocket ship in the last week or so. Um, so tech stocks have done very well leading into a big earnings week next week. Some of the semiconductors had announcements this week and did extremely well, and their stocks went up multiple percentage points. Crude, which we can see here at the top, so crude oil has started to make a comeback as well. If we look over the last month, you can see that it dipped down to some lows in the low 70s, high 60s, and now we're back up into, these are crude futures, obviously a month out, into a little bit more than a month out, March, end of March. We're into the 76, almost $77 range. That still hasn't had a huge impact on our oil stocks. And some of them have started to report. And I would expect that we're going to definitely see some upward movement in the oil stocks. So Valero came out today with semi-positive earnings. I mean, in line with expectations, really. Cash flow is super strong. Um, Debt isn't a huge concern. Their revenue and their earnings per share were both down year over year, but in line with what expectations were. And so we saw a bit of a pop here today. I think it got up to about 135 and change first thing in the morning, and then back again around 10 a.m. It's come down to a low in the 132 range, and now it's back up to 133 and a half. I think we haven't seen the end of the movement here. I think we're going to get up to the 138, 140 range probably by the end of next week. We've had some other companies already report, and their results have been pretty good. So SLB reported, they've done pretty well. Marathon Oil is due to report in, I think it's the second week of February. I believe Halliburton has reported, or it's coming up. I can't recall earnings date. Sorry, yeah, it has reported earnings. I don't remember what these were, but I think they came in pretty good. Yeah, with impressive results. So we're starting to see a bit of a rebound. We're also seeing a narrative in the market around EV sales and those slowing down. So that's going to be positive for crude. We're hearing things coming out of China about China's central bank, the Chinese, I forget what it is, I think it's the CBOC, coming out and saying that they're going to reduce some loan restrictions on the banking sector over there, which is going to put money back into the market. So it's going to boost. That could then give the economy a boost, which requires more oil. So we're seeing that. We're seeing issues continue, unfortunately, in the Red Sea, but with ships being diverted and oil typically coming through the Red Sea, that's causing delays, which is increasing costs and leading to uncertainty. Obviously, we still have the unfortunate events of war in Israel and Palestine and that area, as well as in the Ukraine and Russia. So a lot of different factors, geopolitical, etc. But I believe that oil is going to make its way back. CVE, we were looking at that, Synovus, that was down at 19 and change. We're up at 21. It's going to announce mid-February. I think that's going to go into the 23 to $25 range between now and then. So I think that's still a pretty solid investment. And then if we look at some of the tech stocks, one of the ones that I've been in and out of throughout the week, I didn't get into it today. I wish I had, but it was Adobe. So if we look at the 5-day on Adobe, it was dipping down to the low 590s. And then at the end of the day, it would typically pop back up to say the 605 to 612 kind of range. So if you got in the morning and then got out in the afternoon, you were making $5 to $10 depending on where your entry and exit points were on each of those trades. So that was a great way to just pick up a few percentage points there and get in and out of those positions. Obviously, if you bought it at the low 590s and you held it to today, you'd be at 623. So that doesn't report until well into the earnings calendar mid-March. So if you see that come down to the 590s, I would definitely pick up some Adobe and wait for it to get back up into the 620s. Google, it's been a rocket ship. Anything tied to semiconductors and AI, obviously, not even, I don't think a month ago, NVIDIA was down at 512. Now it's up at 614. So it's on a rocket ship trajectory. I love Alibaba. I think it has a ton of potential, but it's probably still a year or two out to doubling in from where it is today. But if you want to pick up something that you're willing to hold for a year or two, I don't think there's a lot of downside risk to it. I think there's only upside. It just may take a while. Tesla came out with results yesterday. They got slammed on their results, and their future forecasts were not really that strong either, their outlook. So they got hit. I'd expect that Tesla is going to go down further. I would expect that you're probably going to see Tesla get down into the low 100s or in around 120. If it comes down to the low 100s or the 120s, I'd say it's a strong buy. It's a great company going forward, in my opinion. But I wouldn't touch it today unless you wanted to short it or buy a put option on it. IBM, here's a stock that is just kind of hovered in the 145 range, 130 to 145 for 2 or 3 years. Now it's skyrocketed today after earnings yesterday by $18. Like, this is unheard of for such a stable and large blue chip company with a great dividend. But they have a play on the AI space, and that's given it a bit of a boost. I would stay away from that right now at the price. AMD is skyrocketing. I think it has room to move, but again, it's near its highs or at its highs. So I'd be a little leery of that. I'd watch out and stay away from ON Semiconductor now. Even though it's got semiconductor in the name, it sells mostly to car manufacturers, and car sales aren't doing the best right now. ARM is a new IPO last year. This will be a really interesting one when they come out with their first earnings report to see how they have done in terms of meeting or exceeding expectations. There was a lot of hope on this. My feeling is that this may not do that well on first earnings, but if that's the case, I would buy it on the dip because I think it will be a strong long-term hold. Microsoft, super strong cash flow generating company at its all-time high, I believe. Again, I wouldn't touch this right now. I think there's going to be a pullback, but it's had a great ride for the last year or so. Anyway, that's where we are today on January 25th. Hope this helps. Let me know if you have any questions.